What's up, everyone? I'd like to first of all happily report that I'm officially back on chess.com. When I posted my last video, I tagged Daniel Wrench in a Twitter post, and he ended up seeing my video, had his fair play team take another look at my case, and decided to grant my appeal. I consider myself quite lucky to have caught the attention of Danny Wrench and to have a second chance to make my case. I'm pretty sure that this is something that almost never happens. While I don't know what's happening behind the scenes, I'm hoping that my situation is causing chess.com to make changes to their fair play system and also maybe to their appeal process. I do plan to keep tabs on the issue to see if some changes are made and to see if others encounter the same issue that I had. For those of you who don't know the situation, see my last video, which is the first video that I posted on this channel. I wanted to make an announcement that I will be starting a new series of videos for my current correspondence games or daily games on chess.com. One thing that I love about chess in general is that every game is sort of an adventure filled with highs and lows, excitement and disappointment, and unique challenges. I've been wanting to try to find a way to capture those moments in a video for correspondence games, but sometimes in doing just a post-mortem analysis of a correspondence games, you tend to forget, your thoughts and feelings when the moves that you made were from weeks or months ago. And what I've started doing is periodically recording short videos during critical moments of my correspondence games to try to capture my thoughts and emotions at the moment. And then at the end, I'm going to put them together in a video. Anyway, today I wanted to analyze a game that I played about a half a year ago against a US national master. And this was a correspondence game. And I kind of came up with the theme of temptation for this game. And I think what mostly is tempting in chess is the opportunity to win material. A material advantage is basically the most concrete kind of advantage that we can get in a game of chess. With everything else being equal, the advantage of a piece or sometimes even a pawn or two is often enough to win a game. Because of that, a move to win material is often the most tempting kind of move. A number of times in this game, I was presented with that opportunity to win material, and we'll see how that played out in this game. Okay, so in this game, I was black, playing a national master, CaroInferno. And again, this was a correspondence game. The time control was 3 days per move. And I'm going to zoom through the opening here. I played the move e4. I'm generally an e4 player. And I played the Ruy Lopez. Okay, and moving forward, I'm going to skip ahead to the first what I consider critical position. And that first critical position was here. And this is the first moment that I feel I was presented with some temptation. And that temptation here, of course, is to win this e-pawn. You'll notice that I'm attacking this e-pawn twice. Black is defending this e-pawn once. So this is an opportunity to win a pawn. In the Ruy Lopez, this seems to be kind of a common theme. I'm not someone who plays the Ruy Lopez very often, but it seems like there's often an opportunity, I think usually for white, to win a pawn here in the center. And when I encountered this position, I looked at this position and was thinking, why can I not just win this e-pawn? And I actually missed a critical move in this position. And I think I actually, probably moved a little bit too quickly, partly because of this temptation of winning a pawn. Okay, so anyway, I played knight takes e5, black recaptures, and there we go. I've won a pawn. However, I completely missed black's next move. If you want to pause the video, see if you can figure out what black's next move is. And black's next move is bishop takes f2. And after seeing this, I realized if I take back here, black ends up winning the exchange with a double attack here. Whatever I do, black will be able to take the rook, be up in exchange, and have a nice advantage here. Probably a winning advantage. So instead of doing that, white has another option, and I took that other option and played king to h1. And now black officially has won back his pawn by winning my pawn on f2. In the end, when I did, after the game was finished, when I did a computer analysis, I actually allowed the computer to spend a lot of time on my move here, knight takes e5, and surprisingly, it actually turned out to be maybe white's best move. Even though I missed the critical move here, I got a little bit lucky here that knight to e5 is actually a decent move, if not the best move. Anyway, moving forward, I'm going to zoom through a few moves. Actually, I do want to talk about this move. This move I felt was fairly creative. This move, rook to e2, it does a couple things. It attacks the bishop. And the rook, which was threatened here on e5, is now protected nicely by the queen. Even if black trades off rooks here, I'm still attacking this bishop and forcing black to retreat this bishop. I mean, not totally, you know, black might be able to move his queen to f6. And also getting my, it also gets my queen here to a nice open e-file. So I felt this was a creative move. And instead of trading rooks, black retreats his bishop. I don't think this is the best place to move black's bishop. I have a nice move here, d4, opening up my position, my bishop, expanding with my pawns, and simultaneously attacking black's bishop. This is kind of move that was really, really easy to make because it is very clearly white's best move. Black retreats. And I came up with another creative move here. Bishop to g5. It's a creative move, again, to develop a piece while attacking black's queen. Why can't black simply take the bishop? Well, because of this. Because I win the exchange, and now black has two pinned bishops and is in kind of a mess here. Okay, so black instead plays f6. We'll move forward a bit here. Another move, developing while simultaneously attacking, threatening to take a pawn here. And black defends that pawn. Not only does it take a pawn, but it also brings my queen in, and black would be in a mess here if he allowed that. I think he plays basically the only move here, g6, to guard against that. Okay, I'm going to skip ahead a little bit here until the next, what I feel is the critical position, next critical position. Actually, I'm going to talk about this move here. This is an interesting little move. First of all, I'm getting out of the way of black playing his rook here. So kind of a little prophylaxis. Also attacking two key points here for black. First of all, this weak f6 pawn. and also this knight, with the plan to play bishop to b3, pinning that knight. And both of these things actually come into play later on. Black kind of guards against both things. He guards the f6 pawn and also moves his king out of this diagonal. Moving forward a few moves. And in this position, I take the opportunity to move that bishop to b3, threatening here to win a pawn. 2 pieces attacking the knight, only 1 piece defending that knight. Black seemingly ignores that and plays queen to e7. And here's my second position where I'm faced with temptation. The first time around, I decided to indulge in that temptation. Should I indulge in the temptation here to win a pawn? Let's see. Takes, takes. I have won a pawn. Is this a good position? I spent some good time looking at this position. This is not a good position, and this is definitely not the place to win a pawn. Take a moment to see if you can see why this is not a good position for white. That is because black has the move bishop to c6. White's queen cannot go anywhere here. He has to retreat to the queen side, allowing an infiltration with black's queen, attacking 2 critical points here, attacking the knight and the h3 pawn, and that's a problem because of this pin. This bishop here is pinning this g pawn. If white were careless, it would be an easy mate in 2. Okay, white has this option. This is still very bad for white. Without going through too many details, this is a winning position for black. So thankfully in this position, I took the time and figured out that taking the knight here would not be a good move. And instead played a nice move with probably the piece that's doing the least in my position, and bringing him to a really nice square on e4, attacking 2 critical points. Black threatens, protecting this point, threatens my bishop, plays g5. I take the opportunity here to take black's dark squared bishop, which is a really nice bishop for black. Moving forward. And I wish I didn't show you that move, but this is another interesting position. And this was my opportunity, I felt, to create a potential long-term advantage here. And that is, in this position, to play the move c4, which does what? First of all, of course, it attacks the knight. But what else, which is even more critical, does this move do? This move forces the creation of a passed pawn. White doesn't do himself too much by taking the pawn because he cannot take back and would have to retreat his queen. I mean, those are reasonable moves, but it doesn't stop a passed pawn from happening. Black instead moves his queen, and instead of trading, which I felt creates kind of less of a chance for me to win, I keep the queen on the board and play queen to e2, threatening this knight. And in this position, I take the opportunity to create that passed pawn. So this is the kind of long-term threat that may allow me an opportunity to win this game. Now, this game certainly at this point is not clearly winning for white, but this is my opportunity to create a long-term threat. Okay, moving forward a few moves. Black plays the nice move, bishop to c5, blocking my bishop off of this diagonal and keeping my pawns from being able to connect. And I played the nice move, bishop d1. There was a lot of moves in this position. I was actually very proud of this move. I could have played something like queen to d3, supporting my pawn and threatening maybe to win a pawn there. I also considered the move h6. I think the move that does the most here is the move that I played, bishop to d1, threatening to go to g4 and attacking this queen. And then potentially allowing me to move my pawn to d7. Black tries to maneuver his light squared bishop to block. I happily take. This is another critical position, and I play sort of a risky move that I actually feel is potentially white's best move here. And in fact, it is risky, although there's always the chance, there's always the opportunity for white to just allow a draw here, so it's not that risky. But that's not totally true. I take that back. But anyway, what do you feel is the best move here? You can pause if you want to figure it out. And I think what I played is the best move, and that is queen to d3, allowing the infiltration of the queen. And black plays the move queen to e1, and I play basically my only move, king to h2. Here I have a big decision to make, and one is I could simply play back to g1, and this I think would basically, I think the best move for black here would be just to check again, and this is my opportunity. I think it is sort of an opportunity to just take a draw here. However, I play the only move that doesn't allow black to force a draw, and that is the move g3. And I had to spend a lot of time figuring out if this move worked, because this allows black to win two of my pawns, my A pawn and my B pawn. We'll see how that played out. But this allows me the opportunity to play the move d7. Not right now. Right now. Threatening to queen the pawn. And one thing about this move to d7 puts my pawn on the 7th rank, and one thing that's important to realize as a chess player, the more advanced your pawn is, the more valuable it is, because of how it's threatening to queen in just this case one move. So the farther advanced your pawn is, the more valuable it is, and the more resources black is going to have to use to try to keep that pawn from advancing and queening. Black plays the only move here, queen to d8. And I played what I thought was a necessary move, and I thought it was actually quite brilliant when I played it. I found out later that it actually was not the best move. I played the move king to g4. I felt I was keeping black from being able to play f5, which I thought was critical for me to not allow. In fact, this is not at all necessary. It is in some lines necessary for white to bring his king to g4. However, first, much better, I think, is to play the queen up to, I think it was to d6 here. Either that or d5. One of the two. And white is able to win. If you want to, by the way, see this game, I'll put a link of this game in the description so you can look at all of these various lines. However, I play the move king to g4. This actually allows black to draw, and it's an extremely difficult line. It's a computer line that most humans probably would not sort out. But with the move b5, black is able to create some counterplay here on the queen side, and black is able to make his own threats. And white is actually not able to win in this position. Fortunately, black did not see that and played the move queen to f6. I move the queen forward, threatening a couple things. Well, let's just put a couple moves on the board. Moving my king up here and check first, and then after the trade, I am completely winning. Black has no access to this pawn here. He does not have much to do, and I will queen. So that that is the sort of thing that I'm threatening here with this move, queen to d6. Black plays queen to e7, and this is my next point. This is the third point in this game where I am faced with temptation. And here, instead of winning material by taking a piece, I have the opportunity to win material by queening a pawn. This would be a big mistake here. And why is it a big mistake? Because black can force a draw here. And, you know, for example, this, black has a draw. Maybe there are some tricky situations even in this position where white can try to block here. Although this may actually be even worse. This is likely, I think, losing for white. So anyway, this is not the place to queen the pawn. And I instead play the move queen to d5, checking the king and threatening next move to queen the pawn. This is also guarding this e4 square, trying to avoid that draw that I just mentioned. Black plays king to g6, and again I'm forced with this temptation to queen the pawn. Again, this would be a mistake. After this move, I only have one move, that is to guard. And then after this move, white is actually losing. So that would be an absolute disaster. Queening the pawn here would turn a forced win for white into a forced loss. So I play the critical move, queen to d3. Black blocks, I take. Black moves here. Again, I move to d5 to threaten to queen this pawn. Black moves back here, and a third time I'm faced with the opportunity to queen. Again, this is not good. Black can move there. Again, the only move is to block. And again, black is winning here. So I throw in, instead of that move, I played the move d3, the final move. Now black does not have an f-pawn to block. Black has to move his king, moves it to the side, and now finally I can queen, and that is what I played. Black has nothing here. He does have a check, but this can easily be parried by just moving away. And white is completely winning here. And black doesn't even have, I mean, he has a check here, I guess. But this is very easily winning at this point. Anyway, thank you for watching. Hope that you found this interesting. Please leave some comments. Please like, please subscribe. Thanks again. See you all next time.